From MTN News, this is Montana This Morning.
Good Wednesday morning at 6 o'clock. Welcome to Montana This Morning. I'm Victoria Hill. Thank you so much for getting your day started with us. Halfway through the week, that means we're closer and closer to Friday. Miller, good morning.
Yeah, it's getting closer and closer to Friday. I know you're excited about that. Got some oogie stuff we have to get through before we get there, though.
Yes, but we welcome it. You know,
we do welcome
it. Is spring in Montana after all.
Absolutely. We could use that rainfall, you know, especially off to our east in the northeast corner of the state where those extreme drought conditions continue. And there is relief on the way. Right now we just got some clouds out there. It's a beautiful sunrise. I just love the tapestry across the sky this morning. 49 at the airport, feels like 46, humidity at 33%. Winds out of the northeast at about 7 miles an hour. Let's go ahead and crunch those numbers. Yesterday our high got up to 87, a lot warmer than where we should be. No records though. We would have had gotten to in the 90s, and this will be the last time we see the 80s for a while. Our overnight lows got down into the 50s, so milder than normal. Top gusts yesterday of 37 miles an hour. We could see that again later this evening and tomorrow evening as well. We're pacing behind for the month and for the year for that rainfall total. But like I mentioned, we do have some relief on the way, and we'll give you some totals on the rainfall from tonight through Sunday, what we're projecting here coming up with the main forecast. A lot of 40s across the board right now. Absaroka sitting at 40. We've got 47 at Belfry, 49, like I'd mentioned here in Billings. We'll tag team with Roundup on that at 49. A little warmer in Ingomar, sitting at about 51. We start off with a good bit of sunshine, and then the clouds really start to increase later today. And then the rain will start to come in late this afternoon into the evening, maybe even a rumble of thunder or two. Highs today in the 60s and 70s, even cooler for the next couple of days. We'll go with a high today of 71 here in Billings on this scooter day.
Miller, when's the last time you rode a scooter?
It was, I'm going to say last year. And it was, what did you say that was called? Razors?
Yeah.
We have a knockoff type of razor.
Look at this guy.
I think it's an electric razor. I don't know. I think you plug it in. I don't know.
Is that what you looked like when you rode it?
Yeah, that's it's exactly what I look like. There I am right there. That's me with a helmet on. Look at me go. Ah. Wow. I do flips when I find out there's free donuts in the break room.
On my
Have you ever done that? Rode a razor?
If my feet are not on the ground, I don't trust it. Skateboard.
I bet you could do that.
No. Skateboard, let me see, what are skateboard, rollerblades, roller skates.
Anything with wheels?
Box jumps, even without wheels, I will not do it. My feet are not planted firmly on the ground. You know, jumping rope even panics me a little, honestly. Yes, I'm serious. I don't know what it is.
Well, tomorrow is National Jumping Rope Day. We'll have to get you in there. It's you know what? As I get older, I don't like to I like to keep my feet on the ground. I'm with you as I get older.
There you go. I'm an old soul. That's all there is to it.
Nothing wrong with that.
All right, Miller. Enough about those scooters and high flying stunts.
Scoot on to the news.
Oh, good
nice
one.
To transition.
I will do that.
But I get paid the small bucks for it.
We begin this Wednesday with continuing coverage. A Montana judge is blocking state legislative Republicans from looking at internal documents from a state Supreme Court justice. The district judge ruled the legislature is exceeding its authority. GOP leaders wanted access to documents and emails from Justice Jim Rice, alleging they prove bias against Republican policies within Montana's highest court. In his ruling, Judge Mike McMahon says the legislature does not have legal authority to subpoena documents. The judge told Republican leaders if they believe judicial misconduct has occurred, they must file a complaint with the State Judicial Standards Commission. Senator Jon Tester is the head of the subcommittee, getting the first look at President Joe Biden's proposed defense budget. The Montana Democrat hopes Congress and the Biden administration listen to military leaders and provide them with the resources they need. Senator Tester also says the military needs to be held accountable for potential sexual assault and racism issues within its ranks. He believes future military spending should have a focus on our cyber capabilities, which is a shift some of our rival countries have already made.
If you want to talk about fighting the next war and not the last one, cyber is a huge part of this, and we've got to make sure that we've got the right minds working to be able to deliver what we need to keep this country safe. We saw what our opponents could do with the Colonial Pipeline, and because that pipeline was shut down because of an outfit in Russia that wanted to raise heck with our economy.
Tester says the Senate Appropriations Subcommittee on Defense should get a first look at the president's new proposed budget next week. Montana's Republican Governor Greg Gianforte is paying tribute to our armed forces. Yesterday, he stopped by the Montana National Guard Army Aviation Support Facility in Helena for a tour. The governor believes military funding is extremely important.
We need to be prepared. This is why we need to continue to invest in our military. This Army Aviation Support Facility supports the Guard and the Army across the nation in their missions, and it's critically important for our national security.
The Helena facility houses 3 types of military helicopters. It also has a heavy ramp to support the largest Army aircraft, which assist in missions worldwide. Well, it's now law. Recreational marijuana will be sold in shops starting next year. Governor Gianforte signed House Bill 701 on Tuesday. It allows current medical marijuana providers to get licensed to sell their product for recreational use starting January 1st, 2022. The governor says HB 701 implements marijuana sales in a safe, responsible, and appropriately regulated manner. Several Montana tribes are suing the Secretary of State over 2 new laws they say unconstitutionally infringe on the ability to vote for Native Americans. The recently signed laws end Election Day voter registration and put restrictions on ballot collections. The Northern Cheyenne Tribe is among the plaintiffs. The suit argues Native Americans face higher barriers to voting, like limited mail service on reservations, lack of access to the internet, higher poverty rates, and having to travel further to get to a voting location. Supporters of the new law say the measures are necessary to protect election security. Another week and another opportunity for the unvaccinated to get some cash. Riverstone Health will host a clinic tomorrow at the Shrine Auditorium, and the first 400 people will get their COVID shot and $50. A second donor gifted the Riverstone Health Foundation with $20,000 so they can offer the incentive again. Tomorrow's event runs from 1 to 7 in the afternoon. The later start is meant to accommodate students. 570 people showed up to last week's cash incentive clinic. Also making headlines this morning, there is a growing call by the international community for Israel and Hamas to end their fighting. But as CBS's Tina Kraus tells us, it's unclear if a ceasefire is on the horizon.
Protests from the Israeli embassy in Washington, D.C. to the streets of Los Angeles.
Viva, viva Palestina!
Calling on Israel to end strikes on Gaza amid its back-and-forth exchange of attacks with Hamas militants.
This is a human rights issue that needs to be solved as soon as possible.
Protesters greeted President Biden during a trip to Michigan, where Democratic Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, who has family in the West Bank, told the president Palestinian human rights are not a bargaining chip.
That's what's missing in the statements coming from President Biden. You don't hear the words Palestinians deserve human rights, that Palestinians deserve to exist.
Rejecting international calls for a ceasefire, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said the military operation will continue in order to restore calm. The Israeli military spokesman says as long as rockets are being fired at Israel, de-escalation is not on the table. Around 50,000 Palestinians have fled their homes and more than 200 have been killed since the violence began earlier this month. At least a dozen people in Israel have died from rocket attacks by the militant group Hamas.
Everyone is scared. There is a lot of people and children in the shelter.
Palestinians in Gaza and Israel went on a rare general strike Tuesday, leaving many streets empty. But in the West Bank, they also burned tires and threw stones at Israeli troops, who fired back, killing at least 4. Tina Kraus, CBS News.
The Israeli army said 2 soldiers were wounded by gunshots to the leg. In a separate incident, police say 2 Thai workers were killed and 7 people hurt when a rocket struck an Israeli farm just over the Gaza border. Hamas and Islamic Jihad claimed the responsibility for that attack. The North Carolina sheriff's deputies who fatally shot Andrew Brown Jr. will not face criminal charges. The district attorney says the officers' actions were justified because they were confronting a suspect who had access to a potentially deadly weapon, his car. Body camera video shows Brown driving at the officers on scene while trying to flee arrest. Brown's family is calling on the Justice Department to review the case. The president of the Arizona State Senate says Maricopa County's recount of the 2020 election will proceed over the objections of both Republicans and Democrats. She said the audit is necessary to answer lingering questions about the vote. Members of the county's GOP majority have called for the audit to be closed, writing in a statement, "Our state has become a laughingstock." They argue the recount promotes distrust in elections. President Biden won Maricopa County by less than 100,000 votes. Former President Donald Trump's business organization is facing a criminal investigation in New York. CBS's Laura Podesta has the latest.
A big announcement from the top prosecutor in New York. We've informed the Trump Organization that our investigation into the organization is no longer purely civil in nature. We're now actively investigating the Trump Organization in a criminal capacity. That's a statement provided by New York Attorney General Letitia James's office. James has been looking into whether the Trump Organization falsely reported the values of various properties to secure loans and lower its tax liability. The claim was brought to prosecutors' attention by Trump's former personal lawyer, Michael Cohen.
To your knowledge, did the president or his company ever inflate assets or revenues?
Yes.
And was that done with the president's knowledge or direction?
Everything was done with the knowledge and at the direction of Mr. Trump.
For more than 2 years, Manhattan's District Attorney Cy Vance has been investigating Mr. Trump's pre-presidency business dealings and whether his company manipulated the value of assets.
The Trump Organization could not be immediately reached for comment. Mr. Trump has said that both investigations, overseen by Democrats, are politically motivated. Laura Podesta, CBS News.
The New York AG's office has not said yet what exactly triggered the criminal probe. President Trump is also the focus of a criminal investigation in Georgia, looking into his attempts to overturn the state's presidential election results.